think about, with data, what's the best approaches to enroll children, where are the uninsured children. And now with some new data that she's releasing today through the Journal of Health Affairs, and there's also a commentary from Secretary Sebelius in that same Health Affairs issue, she's going to provide some really important new data for us that will help us target our efforts very effectively in exactly the kinds of ways that Secretary Duncan has identified. So with that, let me introduce Jenny Kenney.
Thank you, Cindy. As Secretary Sebelius indicated, the last decade has been one of progress in covering our nation's children. Indeed, last year, the Census Bureau reported that the number and rate of uninsured children had reached its lowest level in over 20 years. The paper that Health Affairs is releasing today presents new information that should help point the way to further coverage gains for our nation's children. It provides analysis on the children who remain uninsured despite being eligible for Medicaid or CHIP. The estimates pertain to 2008, before CHIP was reauthorized, and they draw from a new source of data on health insurance coverage, the American Community Survey. Before I share some of the study highlights, I want to thank the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation and our project officer, Brian Quinn, for supporting this research effort. I'd also like to acknowledge the hard work and contributions of my co-authors, Victoria Lynch, who's here today, and Allison Cook and Samantha Pong. Well, let me highlight some of the key findings. Of the 7.3 million uninsured children in this country who are 18 and under, we find that about 4.7 million, or 65%, are eligible for Medicaid or CHIP coverage but not enrolled. This means that if we were able to enroll all those uninsured children into Medicaid or CHIP, the total number of uninsured children in this country would drop by about 5 million. As you can see from the next slide, and as Secretary Duncan described, these 4.7 million eligible but uninsured children are heavily concentrated in a relatively small number of populous states. Just 3 states, California, Texas, and Florida, contain close to 40% of all these eligible children. Moreover, 10 states account for 61% of the total. The next slide shows the map of state participation rates across the country. Overall, in 2008, we found a nationwide participation rate in Medicaid or CHIP of 82%. And I want to point out that this level of participation is high relative to what's typically found in other means-tested